What's up, guys? We are back. Fitness Profit Multiplier, Anthony and Jimmy. Today, we're going to be discussing 4 ways to handle the price objection when selling personal training. This one is the gold standard of what we teach all of our gyms, how to handle the price objection. Now, I'm going to back all this up. We're talking about how to handle the price objection during the consultation, the assessment, whatever you call that initial appointment when they come in and you're trying to sell them the membership. So that's exactly what we're talking about, how to handle the price objection there. But there's a lot of things that have to happen before this in order to not get that price objection. And we talked about this so many times before. It's the phone call. When you first get on the phone with them, if you set up that phone call right and you create the buying atmosphere, you decipher the value that they're going to get there on the phone initially, you build rapport, you have them come in, you draw that divide between what you do versus what they've done in the past and why it's going to work for them. If you do all that stuff, you shouldn't be getting a price objection. If you're getting a price objection, they do not see the value of what you do. It's just that simple. They don't see the value of it. You didn't do a good enough job doing that, showing the value. And don't get butthurt by that. It's just what it is, right? And it happens. I've done it. I get objections too, like everybody else. Jimmy gets objections too, and we're good at it. But it happens. It happens. Some people just don't see the value. Maybe just your communication style with certain people comes through easier versus other people where it doesn't. So you got to kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, I wanted to kind of preference all this by saying that before we get into the nuts and bolts of the 4 ways to handle price objections here.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of these things where when you're a trainer and you're getting into sales and you're trying to, get people to participate in something that's healthier for them, you want to close everyone, right? You're a trainer first, right? You're a coach first, and you go, why don't these people want this help? I know that I can help them lead a healthier life, have more time with their kids, have more confidence, have more health, all these kinds of things, and actually be confident in their body because you have the answers, right? And when somebody doesn't close or somebody doesn't want to participate in your service with you as a trainer first, if you're a fitness facility owner that started out as a trainer first, which most of us probably were, you kind of get like sad that people aren't going to convert based on the fact that you can help them and you want to convert every single person. But you have to realize that converting that person has more to do with your ability to follow some tactics, follow some strategies, and build your skills as a salesperson than it has anything to do with you building your skills as a trainer or your ability to train people. So we have to focus on these skills to help more people. And when I was first a coach, we're looking at the stuff and I was like, sales was kind of a dirty word, right? Initially. And we have to know that there are tactics, strategies, psychology, and skills that are involved with being able to convince somebody that what you're going to provide them with or your coaches are going to provide them with is going to give them the results that they want and provide that value to them that they're looking for. So we're going to go over those today in regards to price objections. That's the big one.
Yeah, and then at the end, guys, we're going to give you a little bit of a bonus. We're going to give you what to do on the phone because we have a 3-step process for the phone. So the reason why we teach this way is because a lot of gyms have different ways of handling price objections. And this is a little tough based on because we don't know who's listening to this on the other end, right? But this is the general outline that can work for most people. We're not sure what your gym's offering, how many packages, how many times a week, continuity, long-term, short-term memberships. All this is going to play a part in the price objection. So just remember, if you're just getting someone saying price, they don't see the value of what you're doing, or they're not sure that it's going to work for them, or they don't trust you, one or the other. So you have to make sure that you could show them that it's going to work for them, because most of the time, if they think it's going to work for them, they'll pay. So for example, this person you may be sitting with someone, Mrs. Jones, you're trying to sell her a $400 a month membership. And she's like, oh, I don't know. It's kind of expensive. It's too expensive. I need to think about it because it's so expensive. And then she goes to a plastic surgeon and the plastic surgeon is like, okay, to do what you want, it's going to cost 30 grand. She's like, okay, I'll take out a loan. I'll do it. So why is she so sure to do that versus paying the $400 a month with you? because the certainty of it's going to happen with the other one, right? There's no real work required on her end. Whereas with you, she's going to have to actually work to do it. So if she's giving you, or anyone's giving you, a price objection, they just do not see that they're going to actually do it, get the value of it. They don't see that divide. So you have to really create that. So let's get on with it. So now, so this is the way we recommend going through a consultation as far as price goes. So you're going to build value, you're going to explain what you do, you're going to talk about their goals, you're going to build all this up. And then at the end, you're going to give a recommendation based on it. You're going to do what's called a prescriptive selling. All right, Mrs. Jones, so based on everything we talked about today, here's our price sheet. I really believe that with what your goals are, level 2 is going to work the best for you. How does that sound? And then you just shut up and don't say anything. And you wait. No matter how awkward that's going to be, you wait. You sit there and you wait until the other person says something. Oh, I don't know, or oh, okay, that sounds good. But you wait and see what happens. So typically, if someone right off the bat says, oh, it's so expensive, without even acknowledging any of your memberships, the step number 1 is going to be isolating the membership package that they're looking at, because now you want to narrow down where they're at. So let's say I show my price sheet, I pick an option for them and say, okay, Mr. Jones, based on everything here, I think you should go with level 2. What do you think? I stop talking. Mrs. Jones says, oh, I don't know. It's really expensive. All right, Mrs. Jones, money aside, which membership are you really looking at here? Now I'm isolating the membership. I'm getting them to pick a package. Money aside, which option do you think would work best for you? Well, I really want to come 3 times a week. And that's like whatever, the level 2. So perfect. So now we've identified that she's willing to commit 3 times a week. That's kind of where she's leaning toward. So that's the first step. I don't want to jump too far ahead. I don't know if Jimmy wants to jump in and say anything.
Well, isolating the membership, but also isolating, I don't know if you were going to go over this, but isolating the objection as a whole, right? Is that the only thing, right? Is that the only thing, right? When you isolate the objection as a whole, then you give them the opportunity, one, to bring up other things that may be holding them back, right? Because they may say price, but they may say price because their spouse wouldn't approve the price, not because they don't approve of the price, right? So isolating that price objection is one of the first steps as well. So you also want to isolate the membership type that they're looking for. But if they, okay, they decide, they get to the point, you get them to the point where they're about to buy, and then they're like, well, I need to talk to my husband now. It's like, what did you do all that work for? If the husband was the real objection, was the husband's price? Because then now you have to go through the process of getting that objection to close, as opposed to going for it right out of the gate. So isolating that objection in and of itself is also pretty important in this beginning component.
Yeah. So that's step number 1, isolating the membership and figuring out if that's the only thing. And that's a good point, because what will happen is you'll go through all these steps and then they'll say, I have to talk to my spouse. And then we have a whole other steps on how to handle that one as well.
Right.
So the second step in that case, if once they isolate the membership, then you say, and you find out if that's the only thing holding them back. Step number 2 is, what are you comparing this price to? Okay, Mrs. Jones, I totally understand that you think it's expensive, but what are you comparing this price to? And let them tell you what they're comparing it to. And especially if they say something in fitness, like, oh, I used to go to CrossFit and the CrossFit was $200. Now, when you have to create that divide between the CrossFit that Mrs. Jones was doing and what you do. Well, Mrs. Jones, at CrossFit, there's 30 people in a room. It's doing the workout of the day. Here, you're going to be getting the customized programming that you need. It's in a smaller environment, so you're going to get much more individual attention. So you mentioned to me earlier, you were afraid of getting hurt again. Well, here, that's not going to happen, because we're going to be able to keep a really, really good eye on your form. And Mrs. Jones, the reason why you didn't get results before at CrossFit was because the workout was not tailored toward you, where here, it's going to be customized to you. So now what you're doing is you're taking that second step, you're finding out what they're drawing that divide to. And then if that's what it is, if they say CrossFit or whatever, then you would state the divide and then repitch again. All right, Mrs. Jones. So that's why, and I'm just winging this off my head. It's kind of tough without actually hearing an objection. But okay, Mrs. Jones. So that's why, CrossFit is the way it is and whatever. So what do you think? You ready to get started today? And you say the ask again with step number 2. Jimmy, you want to jump in?
Yeah. So when we do this, you want to, it's not as much, and Anthony did a good job talking about the value prop, right? Like what they're getting and what they're not getting, that kind of thing. You want to get them to kind of admit it again at that moment. So when they're like, well, CrossFit was only 149. Well, oh, Mrs. Jones, why did you stop doing CrossFit? It's as a quick, why did you stop doing CrossFit? Oh, well, because I got hurt, or I didn't like the competitive nature, or I'm getting a little older now, so I need something a little more customized. Well, exactly. And that's why you're here. And that's why our price point is the way that it is, because we make sure that you're taken care of in this way, right? So reminding them in their own words why they stopped doing something, or, they say, well, CrossFit was 149, just because this is the example we're using. Well, what kind of results did you get with that program? Because you already know, because you already talked to them before about it. But what kind of results did you get with that program? Well, I didn't really. Okay. So we got to try something different then, right? Yeah. Okay, great. So the best membership for you is X. What card would you like to use? Right? And you just go right back in. Okay. Because you've isolated, you've closed the objection that they've had, what they're comparing it to, and then you go right back in. That may not work.
So Jimmy, wait, I'm going to ask you, because again, we're trying to do this here, just talking about like the general rules. But again, it always, in real life, when they actually give you an answer, you have to kind of think of these things on the fly. We're just saying CrossFit, but what if they said something else? So like, I've done this before, and people have told me, and I'm just curious what you're going to say. People have said like, oh, well, this is a car payment. When I asked them like, well, what are you comparing this price to? Oh, it's like a car payment. So what would you say if somebody gave you something that was not fitness related to the answer?
Yeah, that was not fitness related to the answer. So when people talk about it as a car payment, which is a prime example, because that's what people compare it to, we go back to the reason as to which they came into the facility in the first place, right? So we go back to, well, Mrs. Jones, we talked about you wanting X, Y, and Z, and do you believe this program is going to work for you to get you to X, Y, and Z? Well, yeah, I do. Okay, is there anything else more I need to share about this program to let you know that we can get you to this point where that you said you wanted to get to? No. Okay, great. Now, one of the things that we talk about here is, what have you tried in the past? What has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? Well, this didn't work for me and that didn't work for me. You get them to reiterate all the things that didn't work for them. And you go, well, those didn't work for you for a reason, right? Yeah. Well, here you're getting and right, for this price. And one of the things that we talk about is you're worth it, right? Yes, it's a car payment, but your health, your confidence, and your longevity is worth that, isn't it? Isn't that worth more than your car? And you sit there and you just quiet up, right? Isn't that worth more? Isn't this worth it to you? Right? And it comes off a lot more like they're doing something for themselves, and it's really high value. And then you could also bring up the point of like, well, Mrs. Jones, there's a couple of reasons for this, because people actually get great results here, and they get their great results because people pay attention to what they pay for, right? That $20 Gold Gym membership down the street didn't make you go to the gym at all. You never used it, right? So this is something that's going to hurt when you lose the sessions. So this makes you actually do it. So let's do this for you, right? And my female coach has a really, really good time talking to other female prospects in regards to saying you're worth it, and using that you're worth it kind of talking track. Because like they'll say that it's too expensive. They'll say that I don't know if I can afford it, And Ellen just kind of goes in and goes, well, aren't you worth making this? Isn't this worth it to you? Like, aren't you worth this amount? And then they're kind of like, the self-worth thing kicks in and they're like, oh yeah, totally. Right. So if you get a comparison, like the car is a good example, you kind of go the you're worth it track. And you go, and then you draw the divide between like the other fitness things that hadn't worked for them, because that still works in this talking track, right?
Yeah, and these are things that we teach you guys when we go on our sales calls that we do. This is part of like the whole program, and exactly that kind of, and just having these. You know, it's so funny because it's almost like every sale is pretty much the same, but you have to have like these bank of stories to tell. So, because they're always going to have the kind of same objections, right? Oh, it's a car payment. I was paying 150 at F45 or whatever it was, you know, and then you just pull out the story. Okay, F45, boom, this is what you say. You know, CrossFit, this is what you say. Car payment, this is what you say. And pulling out those kind of tricks to help you, you know, move the sale along and kind of get the client out of their own way. So that's kind of step number two. So the first one, again, you isolate the membership. You get them to pick the package that it's going to work best for them. You know, if they just balk at the whole price, oh my God, I don't know, you know, or even if you made the suggestion of 3 times a week and they're like, I don't know, it's really expensive. All right, well, which option, money aside, which option works best for you? Which option are you looking at? This way you can isolate it down. Now that we, between step one and step two was more about like building that value and creating the divide between what they've done before and getting them the results. That's really what step one and step two are. Now, step three is really showing a little bit more of the benefits to your program. Now, for me and Jimmy, we both sell month to month. So this is our step number three. Well, Mrs. Jones, look, I understand it's really expensive, but all of our contracts are month to month. So you really have nothing to lose in this case. You know, if you don't like it after 1 month, or if you have a guarantee, you can kind of insert the guarantee here. You know, if you don't like it after the first month, we'll cancel you out. No problem. You have nothing to lose. I understand it's expensive, but you're worth it and you really need this to get to where you have to go. Does level 2 work for you? And then be quiet again. Same kind of thing. But now step number 3 is you're stating the facts of your membership, that kind of month to month, or that obvious track of your membership. So it's a month to month for us. It's a month to month commitment. That's what we're saying in our step number 3. Do you want to add anything? Because I have a step number 4, which is kind of related to this one. I don't want you to spoil it.
Right. You talked about the guarantee, right? At that moment.
No, just month to month. Just month to month.
Yeah.
All right. Well, number 4, I'm going to say it because I knew he was going to spoil it. So number 4 is either going to be, again, depending on the type of package that you have here, is going to be either, the first thing is you're just mentioning that it's a month-to-month commitment. For us, that's what we do. We do month-to-month commitment. So we're just mentioning that. Now, if that doesn't work, step number 4 is you're either going to downgrade them to a lesser package. So if Mrs. Jones was looking at 3 times a week, then I would start her and say, okay, Mrs. Jones, look, let's start with twice a week right now, if it fits your budget. And you could always bump it up after that. It's a month-to-month commitment, so you could bump it up after that. So let's start with twice a week right now. How does that work? Or you could go with the money back guarantee. Well, listen, Mrs. Jones, we also offer a money back guarantee where if you show up to all your sessions and you take pictures of your nutrition, whatever your guarantee is, and you submit all that, if you do all that and you don't get results, we'll give you your money back. Or if you don't get results, we'll work with you for free until you get the results you're looking for. So you hit them with that guarantee as the last step in this funnel to push them over that buying line.
Right. And if you're afraid of giving guarantees out, guys, then either one, you don't believe in your product enough. It's not good enough. So you need to make it better. But 2, it's very rare that people ask for refunds. Very, very rare. Right? Maybe a couple people a year, if that, will ask.
But if you're making more sales from it, it's worth it.
Definitely worth it, right? Because you're closing people that stay for longer periods of time because of the fact that you gave the guarantee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's it. Those are the 4 steps. I'll reiterate them. So this is part of your actions for today. And in my action segment at the end of this, we're going to move it up earlier. So there's 4 steps. First one is you're going to isolate their membership or isolate the objection. Make sure it is just the money and it's not something else. Second thing is, what are they comparing it to? What are you comparing this price to, Mrs. Jones? Third one is stating the course of the membership. It's a month-to-month membership. It's a month-to-month commitment. and then the fourth one is either your guarantee or downgrading them to a lesser service. Those are the 4 steps to get around the pricing objection. Now, let's talk the bonus time for you guys. Let's talk about the phone. So if you get the objection on the phone, we talked about how important the phone call is. If you're getting the objection over the phone, how do you get around it? Okay. So there's 3 steps to this, and I'm going to run through this really quick because this is also a bonus. But number 1, you're basically going to give a range for your services. If they keep hounding you, we try not to give them the price over the phone. You can if you want to, but we found that it really doesn't make a difference. So I would give them the range. Well, how much is this? They're going to keep asking that question because they don't know what else to ask. So you got to give them a range. Okay, our sessions range anywhere between 35 and 50 per session. As long as that range works, we can move on to the next step. Does that work? Yes. Okay. Then if they say, oh, I don't know, same thing. Step number 2. What are you comparing that price to? Have you ever worked with a trainer before? Yeah, I had a trainer at a Gold's gym and it was $20 a session. Now, again, now's your chance to create that divide. Well, the trainer at Gold's Gym probably wasn't certified, it wasn't custom, blah, 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 whatever you got to say in that case. And then the third thing that I would do if they still balk at it, I would say, look, Mrs. Jones, let's just do this. Come in for the free consultation. It's totally free. You have nothing to lose. And we can go over more of this in detail. This way you can make an educated decision if this is truly the thing for you or not. Something like that. So those are the 3 bonus ones that you could use over the phone to kind of get over that hump of price on the phone.
And when somebody, one quick point on the phone call, when somebody starts off with price questions and that kind of thing, it's very easy for you to just say, a lot of people that are not seasoned on phone sales will just give them the price right out of the gate, right? And that strategy doesn't work very well because you can get somebody that gets on the phone with you asking price to the end of the phone call without them knowing the price before coming in, right? If you're tactful with it. So, somebody gets on the phone, guns blazing, what's the price? Say, Mrs. Jones, I'd love to help you with that. But before we do that, I'd love to learn a little bit more about your specific situation so that we know that it's a good fit and we have a little more information about how we can help you best, right? Then you start asking them your questions on the phone, and then they ask price again. And you go, oh, your coach will go over that with you in the meeting. We don't know yet what the best fit is for you. But when you come in for your meeting, Jenny is great at these meetings and diagnosing what exactly you need. So she'll be able to go over what the best option is for you at that meeting. They hand you on price a 3rd time, then you give them the range, and then you start to go down the objection closing path. But before you get there, you can give them some deflections that will allow them to not really worry about the price on the phone and just worry about the value they're receiving.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, if you're interested in having us help you, you can click that link below, book your call with us. We can hop on the phone, leave your credit card at home. We're just going to be talking to you about how we can help your business grow and bring home 20K in profit. And also, if you click that link below, you'll also find our free link to our free Facebook group where we've created a community of gym owners and we're looking to expand that. So if you fit that criteria, if you have a small personal training gym, definitely click that link below. Join us on the other side. Anthony and Jimmy, Fitness Profit Multiplier. If you like this stuff, leave us a 5-star review and I'll catch you guys on the next one.